I welcome you all to the project Target. So this is an online seminar series for all three subjects conducted in both mediums happening for the second consecutive year. We had planned to do this physically, but due to various circumstances, we decided to have it online. Today we are having the second day of our seminar series with English medium business studies seminar. So we want to inform you that as a part of our project, we have also prepared a model paper book which you can purchase for just 700 rupees. This book contains 6 model papers for accounting, economics and business studies along with the answer scripts which have been prepared by teachers in leading schools. This book is available in both mediums. All funds raised through the project Target is directed towards Project Siswara. Project Siswara is a community service project in which a rural underprivileged school will be chosen and their necessities will be fulfilled. So if you can, please contribute towards this worthy cause. If you wish to purchase this book, the link is in the chat and you can register for the model paper book. So now we have a small video by our main sponsor, AAT.
I'm Akib Fazli. I studied in Zaira College, Colombo, Maradana. I finished my O-levels on 2018, and right after I finished my O-levels, I started with AAT. Whilst I'm doing A-levels, I was doing AAT, and I didn't think that AAT can make a big effect while I started. But doing that, I got a message like this makes my life easy. Like doing A-levels in commerce stream. And similarly, doing AAT makes my studies easier, and I got a professional qualification with it. I was senior prefect on 2021, and I also did karate for 6 years in my school. Extracurriculars was also there, but doing AAT made me excel in studies in commerce field. And once I finished my school, I had a professional qualification with me, which is a value addition in my life career, and it helped me to get a good job too. And currently I'm in audit firm. I think doing AAT will make your life a plus added to your career.
I'm Vinuri Ranasinghe from Sima Bandanayak Vidyalaya. I started AAT right after doing O-levels, and it was a great help for my advanced level examinations as well. So I recommend AAT to all my dear sisters and brothers. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Vishal Matish Amarasinghe. I'm a student of Royal College, Colombo. So I joined AAT soon after my O-levels, and it has been a great help for me when I was facing my A-levels. I recommend all of you all to join AAT since it will be a great help when going forward with your education. Thank you.
Now we have a small message to you all from AAT, and we will watch that also. Am I audible to you?
Yes.
Okay.
First of all, thank you for giving this opportunity to give you an awareness about AT professional qualification to create your future career successfully. AT Sri Lanka has been in this education industry for over 33 years and have produced 4,100 students, 36,000 active students a year, and 15,000 new students approximately. Every year select AAT as their first professional qualification. Why do you have to select AAT as your first professional qualification? What are the benefits that you'll be able to get? Over 50% every year out of the 100 top result students in the commerce stream in A-level exams are AAT qualified students. It's because you will be able to get more knowledge about how to write correct answers for your questions and also time management during the exams. And this is the only professional qualification that you can complete while schooling. And by the time you finish your A-levels, you have a professional qualification in your hand. And after your A levels, other than that, after completing AT, you will be able to get many exemptions for other professional qualifications, such as you will get 8 subject exemptions for CA, 4 subject exemptions for CIMA, 8 subject exemptions for CMA, and for many other professional institutes. Through AAT Sri Lanka Job Bank, we guaranteed that we will get your job to complete your 1 year of practical training to apply to AAT membership. Once you get the membership of AAT, you are eligible to apply direct membership at internationally recognized accounting bodies such as IPA Australia and IFA UK. When it comes to the AAT qualification, there are 3 stages that you have to complete, and you can do AAT qualification in any language, English, Sinhala, Tamil as your preferable language. There are 2 intakes every year and there are 2 exams in every year for your convenience, and you can join AAT through registered classes, and also you can do self-studies as well. For more details, you can connect with AAT website, FB, Insta, and Telegram as well. I invite every one of you to start your future with AAT and invest your time in a your future. Thank you.
Okay, so now we can start with our today's session, Business Studies English Medium session, which will be held by Mr. Nirmal Chathuranga, a lecturer in management, University of Sri Jayawardhanapura. So, hope you will all get the best use of his knowledge. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Shania. I will start the session. First of all, let me share my screen. Right. Am I audible to you and can you see my slides? Am I audible and can you see my slides? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, audible. Okay. So today we are going to start your webinar on GC Advanced Level Business Studies webinar. Right. So first of all, I will introduce myself. I'm Nirmal Chathuranga. I'm a lecturer in management. Apart from management, I'm teaching organizational behavior, strategic management, research methodology, and also I'm involved with internship management subject, business in society, as a lecturer. So my department is Department of Business Administration, University of Sri Jayawardhanapura. So from year 2018, I'm working as a lecturer at the Department of Business Administration of University of Sri Jayawardhanapura. So that is a very small introduction about myself. So with that, we will move forward with today's session. So if we take business studies subject, so most of the students perceive, or most of the students understand, this particular subject is a kind of a very boring or a difficult subject. So in the real sense of the word, it is not, right? The business studies subject is a very interesting subject, and it will be very helpful and give you the foundation in your higher education as well, right? So when you are doing chartered, double AT, or if you after your A-level results, you will go to a university to study a management degree, then this knowledge is very foundational when you are following such kind of degrees as well, right? And also sometimes you may think that this is very boring, since there are more theoretical things and much more words, sentences, such kind of qualitative things in the subject. But if you use the traditional learning methods or traditional studying methods when you are following the subject, absolutely that may be somewhat difficult and somewhat boring. But if you have a kind of a smart plan or kind of a smart schedule when you are studying this subject, that will be very useful. For an example, I will share my own experience when I was A-level in the way 2012. Yes, in 2012 I did my A-level. So at that time, while I'm studying business studies subject, I had a different schedule, or I had a different plan to study this. So what I did was I prepared a timetable, and I followed economics, accounting, and business studies. So for all the subjects, I prepared a kind of a timetable, right? So if I study business studies lesson 1 at today's evening, again I will do a recap on tomorrow morning about the things that I studied yesterday, right? So it means මම අද රැට පාඩම් කරොත් එහෙම business studies lesson 1 එක ඊගාව දවසේ උදේට මම නැවතත් අද රැ බලපු පාඩම බලනවා. Then I can recall the things that I was studied previous day, right? And also, once a lesson is done, I had a habit that to look or to answer all the past paper questions that are relevant with that particular lesson. It can be the multiple choice question or essay type questions I see, and I try to answer those questions, right? And also, studying a particular lesson and keeping it aside is not a kind of a very good habit of learning, right? You have to memorize your knowledge, the learned things again and again. If not, it will be forgotten, right? So for that, you can use answering the questions time to time, and also you can use the memory maps, right? The memory maps is a kind of or mind maps is a kind of a very good technique when you are keeping the things in your mind and you are recalling the things in your mind. So in memory map, it is a kind of a virtual picture or virtual note that you virtual and creative note, and also you can make it in manual way as well, on a A4 sheet or on a kind of a sheet as well. So in your level, it is better to use a sheet because you are referring the notes, the physical notes most of the time. Then you can take the entire lesson to a sheet, single sheet, in a creative manner, right? Then you can use the different branches, different lines to show the kind of relations or kind of connections between different concepts likewise. So if you simply take your mobile phone and in Google Chrome, if you search that how to create a mind map, then definitely it will give the results, right? So mind mapping is another good way, good way to make the things easier when you are studying. So that is a very brief explanation, very brief tips while you are studying this particular subject. So you may have your own ways. The main thing I have to emphasize is don't get bored while you studying the business studies subject. So today, okay. So today we will focus on main 3 lessons. Firstly, I will discuss with you regarding basis of business and business environment. Thereafter, I will discuss the interaction between government and business. And the third lesson, I'm going to discuss money, banking, and monetary system. So it is given only 3 hours. Yes, now the time is 5:30. It is remaining another 2.5 hours. So within that 2.5 hours, I will try my best to cover these 3 lessons, but it will not be in depth. But I will try my best, at least in surface level, to cover all these 3 lessons, right? So firstly, as I said earlier, I will discuss basis of business and business environment. If I give a kind of an outline, kind of an snapshot on the lesson, first of all, we will discuss the needs and wants. After that, product, market, business, and business environment. Those are the main components of that first session, right? Okay, so from now I'm going to commence the session. So there are only, I think, apart from the organizing committee, there may be 8 to 10 students here. So I expect your active engagement with the session, right? This is not just one-way communication, not just talking only by me. Sometimes I will ask the questions. Then I hope that in your level, in your knowledge, you will give me the answers, right? So can I know here there are only grade 12 students and both grade 13 and 12 students. However, these 3 lessons are belonging to grade 12 syllabus. You can use chat box, right? This is a very informal discussion between you and me, a friendly discussion. Then you can share your thoughts with me, and also I am sharing my knowledge with you. Okay. Anyway, seems there are no responses. Right. So grade 13 students are also here. No? So you can use this session to recap your memory, the things that you have already referred, right? So in your syllabus, firstly, it is discussed the needs and wants. Why the needs and wants are taken as the very first core concept to discuss is the needs and wants are the base or the foundation for any business, because the businesses are created to satisfy the customers' needs and wants, right? So if the needs and wants are there, then there is no longer a business. So the needs and wants are the etymology, are the main source for the businesses. Okay, so it is expected to understand the difference between the needs and wants, right? So if I firstly discuss with you regarding what's the need is, so the need is the physical and mental conditions which are compulsory to be fulfilled by humans are known as needs. So the needs are basically kind of physiological or psychological deficiencies that the human beings are experiencing, right? That can be physiological or that can be psychological. So it is a deficiency. අපි සිංහලෙන් කියන අපිට අඩුපාඩුවක් පිළිබඳ දැනෙන තත්ත්වයක්, right? So it can be physical or it can be psychological deficiency, and it compels us to compulsorily satisfy that particular deficiency. Okay, so when it comes to wants, wants are different ways of fulfilling the needs. On the other hand, the wants are the different methods, the different ways that we fulfill that physiological and psychological deficiencies, right? So here you can see the examples for needs and examples for wants. Okay, so you can see the food, clothes, house, education, health, communication, transportation, safety. So those should be fulfilled necessarily by us. Without food, we cannot live. Without clothes, obviously we can live, but it is essential to have when we are living in a society. And house, education, so those are essential things that person should have. Okay, so when it comes to wants, the wants are the ways, are the method that we use to fulfill the need. So if we take food, for food we can satisfy the food need in different ways, right? Rice, bread, string hoppers, tea, or the pizza, right? Hoppers, anyway. And if we take clothes, the ways that we can fulfill the needs of clothes is different, right? Saris, trousers, frocks, sarong, shorts, anything. And the needs are limited. We have the limited amount of needs, but the wants are unlimited. We have unlimited wants, right? So if we take the food, there are unlimited ways that we can satisfy the food. And also, if we take our wants to buy a mobile phone, our wants to buy books, our wants to buy a pen, likewise in our life, there are different types of wants. So those are in a very wider, very broader range, right? And the needs are common to every people. I have the food need, you have the food need. I need the clothes, also you need the clothes. But the wants, the way we satisfy the needs is different from person to person, right? So for the clothes, I use a t-shirt and a trouser. A girl can use a frock. Another person can use a shirt and a short, likewise. So those are different from person to person. And needs, those are essential to survive. Wants, those are not essential to survive, right? And the needs cannot be created by businessmen, because the needs we bring with our birth, right? In order to survive, essentially we have to satisfy the needs, and those are not created. Those are very natural, right? But the wants, the businesses can create the wants, right? For an example, you want an Apple iPhone, right? So it is not a need. So it is a want. It created by the businessmen. And also what businessmen do, they continuously obsolete the product, or continuous obsolescence means they make the products expired, right? They create that expiration and they create new ones. For an example, if we take the iPhones, so they have the different generations. Now it is i14. Before that, there was i13, i12, i11. Likewise, by themselves adding new features, what they do, they obsolete that particular product and create a new one among their customers to buy the new product, right? So that is how the businesses create the wants among their customers. And if I take the final fact, so that is cannot be changed by the social forces. In any society, in any context, we have to fulfill the needs, right? In any context, we have to, any society, we have to fulfill our needs. But the wants, the way that we achieve the wants can be differed, can be varied from the society to society, context to context. Okay, so for an example, how the Sri Lankan people satisfy their food need is different from the Indian people. So we use rice or bread, rice and curry, milk rice, likewise. So when it comes to Indian people in that society, so they use food like idli, paratha, likewise. They have their own food, and also with their social forces, with the religious forces, political forces, right? Like that forces and economic forces also can be, the wants can be changed, but the needs, you know, that those are very primary and those are very essential. With such kind of social, economic, political forces, the needs will not be changed. Okay, so I think you had a kind of a very quick idea about needs and wants. Now I will move to products, right? Product is another key concept of business studies and very core concept. So having an understanding on the product also very important, right? So how the products are created, so what the products are created, the products are created to satisfy human needs and wants, right? So here it is given the definition: anything offered to the market which fulfills human needs and wants. මිනිසුන්ගේ අවශ්‍යතා හා උමනා තෘප්තිමත් කරන්න වෙළඳපොළට ඉදිරිපත් කරන ඕනෑම දෙයක් නිෂ්පාදිතයක් විදිහට හඳුනා ගන්න. Right? So those are not only the physical products, the goods, the services also considered as the products. So not only the goods and services, but also when we broadly define the products, we can take the people's ideas, events and activities, different places, right? So if we take Mimure and Temple of Tooth Relic and the Colombo Museum, such kind of famous places also can be considered as the products, because there is a kind of value there, and also they are used to fulfill human needs and wants. And different people, some celebrities, right? The organizations, experiences, properties, information. So when we broadly define what are the products, we can consider such kind of facts as well, right? So here you can see how the products can be categorized, right? How the products can be identified. So here I adopted this particular image from Dr. Jagat Bandarnayaka's book. So here you can clearly see how the products can be categorized, right? Based on the tangibility and intangibility, we can divide the products into two main groups: goods and services, right? So the goods can be further divided, further classified based on durability and use, right? So when it comes to the durability, අපි durability කියලා කියන්නේ whether we can use or whether we can utilize the certain product for a shorter time period or a longer time period, right? So when we classify the goods based on the durability, we can identify two types of goods, the durable goods and non-durable goods. So what are the durable goods? The goods that will be end with a limited usage, right? When we use that particular good for one time or for few times, the good will be ends. The usage of the good will be ended, right? For an example, the toothpaste, soap, food, some food, and also we can take the soft drinks, right? Likewise. And the non-durable goods, we can use such kind of goods for a longer period of time, for many years. The televisions, radios, smartphones, fridge, motor vehicles, such kind of goods. So when we identify the products with the usage or the use, we can identify again two main type of goods based on the use, right? So those are the consumer goods and the industrial goods. The consumer goods are the goods that is used for the final consumption. අවසන් පරිභෝජනයේ සඳහා පාරිභෝගිකයා විසින් මිලදී ගන්න භාණ්ඩ තමයි අපි consumer goods විදියට හඳුනගන්නේ, පාරිභෝගික භාණ්ඩ විදියට හඳුනගන්නේ. So with that, we can identify four types of consumer goods. The first one is convenience goods. The convenience goods are the goods that we frequently purchase. We purchase convenience goods frequently and from the shop that is nearest to us, right? And also, most of the time, the individuals are very conscious about the brand of the particular good, right? For an example, if I buy a soap, then I ask that particular good from the shop, like Sunlight soap. Okay, toothpaste, Signal toothpaste. Mata Signal ekak denna, mata Sunlight ekak denna. Likewise, by using the brand, most of the time we purchase those type of goods, right? And when it comes to, for examples, as I said, the soap and toothpaste and also newspapers, right? And also the food items like sugar and tea, such kind of products that we frequently buy from the nearest shop. And when it comes to the shopping goods, the shopping goods are purchased after comparison of price, quality, and its suitability, appropriateness, and also its durability, its passion, right? Fashion. So considering such kind of factors, after comparison of such kind of elements, we purchase these shopping goods. Okay, so and also the purchaser is very conscious to go few outlets, to go few shops, and the compare the quality, price, and the things that I said earlier, right? So after such kind of a comparison, the purchaser purchase such kind of goods. For examples, we can take the clothes and shoes, okay, and the ornaments, such kind of things. And the specialty goods means, so those goods are not frequently bought by the purchaser, so those are rarely purchased, and those are available in the special shops, right? So for an example, if we take the motor vehicles, so we take a special effort to buy these kind of products. We find, we investigate, and also we do kind of cost benefit analysis, because most of the time these special goods are very expensive. Therefore, we take much more effort to buy these things, and we find much more information about these products and before purchasing, right? So jewelry items, and also the motor vehicles, and some electronic equipments, those can be identified as the specialty goods. So when it comes to unsold goods, you know that these type of goods are in the market, but the purchaser doesn't know that particular product is in the market, right? එතකොට මේ නොසෙව් බාණ්ඩ කියන දේවල් මේ වෙද්දි වෙළඳපොළ තුල තියෙනවා. නමුත් මිලදී ගනු ලබන තැනැත්තා විසින් එවැනි භාණ්ඩයක් වෙළඳපොළ තුල තියෙනවා කියන එක දන්නේ නැහැ. So for example, the new insurance schemes, new novels, new books, likewise we can identify for the unsold goods. The specialty of these unsold goods is those with the time they will become the convenient shopping or specialty goods. ඒතර මේවා වෙළඳපොළට ඉදිරිපත් කරන මුල් කාලේ, at the very first period of these products are keeping as the unsold goods, but with the time with the awareness of the consumers regarding these products, these products will become convenience shopping or specialty goods, right? And when it comes to the industrial or the business goods, again we can identify some categories of these industrial or the business goods. The capital items means the different machineries and that kind of equipments that we use for the production process. So these industrial goods, all these capital items, materials and parts, and supplies and business services, those are used for the businesses, not for the final consumption, right? To produce other goods, to produce other products, these industrial goods are used, right? So the uniqueness of that is those are used to produce the goods or the products, right? So as I said earlier, the capital items, those are the equipments, and those are the machineries that we use for the production process. Okay, so when it comes to the materials and parts, the materials and parts basically comes with the raw materials, right? Iron, plastic, likewise such kind of raw materials can be identified under the material and parts. So when it comes to supply and business services, we can so those are the different services, those are the different supplies used for the production process, just like water, electricity, and gas, maintenance, such kind of services. Okay, so when it comes to the services under the broader categorization, here we can understand two types of services: business support services and direct services, right? So the business support services, the services which are specially identified with the businesses, bank services, and also the different financial services, transportation services, telecommunication services, like that. The direct services, those are commonly taken, for an example, the education, health, and also the communication here, and the tourism. Such kind of services in common we can understand with the direct services. However, when we identify these services, there are unique features of these services, right? with compared to goods, there are unique features we can observe within the services. The main thing is these services are intangible. We cannot touch or we cannot see the services. And also the services are inseparable. Inseparable means we cannot separate the service from the service provider. We cannot separate the service from the service provider because it is attached to the service provider, right? So based on the service provider, it will be decided the quality of the service. So it is explained through this quality of variable, the variability, right? For an example, if we take two doctors, the service of the two doctors is not similar. The way the doctor address the person, the way that the doctor diagnose the person, right? That is different. And also, the services are perishable. We cannot store the service. We have to consume the service at the same time with the service is provided, right? So those are all the things that you have to pay your attention regarding the products, right? I think I did that part in a very fast manner because I know that this is not a very difficult part for you. Do you have any question from this part? Any question from this part? Right. So at the end of the session, I will share this material with you as well. Session එක අන්තිමට මේ material එකත් ඔයාලත් එක්ක share කරන්න. Then you can refer this material and you can, if you take a printout of this material, you can write the additional things that you know as well, right? Okay, so after knowing about products, now we are going to understand about what is a market. Okay, so a market is identified as any place or any situation which customers and suppliers interact. Okay, so here you can see some key elements of a market. It can be a place or it can be any situation. So the market should not be necessarily a place. So it can be a situation as well, or it can be a physical situation, or it can be a virtual situation. Okay, and what is happening in a market? The customers, who are the customers? The persons who purchase the products from the market, and the suppliers, the persons who offer their goods or services to the market. Okay, so within this market, what is happening? It is happening an interaction between the customers and the suppliers, right? So as I said earlier, we can see the physical markets or the physical places that the transaction can happen between the supplier and the customer, and the virtual places. So you know about the e-commerce and different e-commerce platforms, how the e-commerce is happening. And sometimes you may purchase goods and services to Daras, right? Alibaba, using different online platforms. So that is not a kind of a physical place that we go shopping to purchase something. That is a virtual place. So these both virtual and physical places are considered as the market, right? So here you can see some type of markets. The consumer market, you know that the market which the products or services are offered are sold for the final consumption, and the service market where the services are marketed, and capital goods market, the market which sells and buy the machineries and different equipment, such kind of things, and the labor market, housing and property market, money market, the money market, capital market. You should be able to understand the difference between these two, right? The money market basically fulfill the short-term money requirements of the buyers, and the capital market, those are fulfilling the long-term money requirements, more long-term fund requirements of the purchasers, right? So likewise, you can identify the different types of markets. So keeping few markets, type of markets as example is enough for you in your level. So anyway, the thing that I need to highlight here is market is not necessarily a physical place. It can be a virtual as well. And you should be able to give the examples for the virtual markets as the Satipola. And also if we take the Keel supermarket and a retailing shop. So we can identify those, the physical situations that the people interact. As I said earlier, the virtual shops, there are, and also using social media, Facebook, also you are purchasing different goods. So those are coming with the virtual markets, right? So after having understanding needs and wants, products, market, now we are going to understand about business. Okay, so up to now, do you have any question? Am I too fast? I can see most of the students are left. Only the organizing committee and only 3 students are here, I think. Anyway, I will continue my session. Right. Am I too fast? Okay, right. When you understanding the businesses, right? So all the key things that you have to understand regarding a business is on this slide, right? So the definition of businesses and the key characteristic of a business and classification of business, new trends of business. So all the key areas that you have to understand regarding a business are on this slide. Okay, so first of all, let's see what is a business. So business is identified as any economic activity which is continued with the intention of making profit or not. Okay, so if we take a business, making profit is not a necessary when we are defining it a broader sense, it is not necessary, right? So we can see the business, profit businesses, non-profit businesses, and also not-for-profit businesses. So business organizations, when we broadly categorize or broadly classify, we can identify those 3 types of businesses. For-profit businesses means their main objective, their core objective is earning profit. Okay, with the profit orientation, they have established their business. When it comes to non-profit business, their main objective is not earning profit. So it is another objective, just like social welfare. Okay, so when it comes to not-for-profit organizations or not-for-profit businesses, so their main objective is not earning profits, but through their operations, they are making profits, right? Through their operations, they are making profits, but their main objectives is not earning profit. For example, if we take the universities, the Sri Lankan government universities, so our main objective is not earning profits. So we are not profit-oriented businesses or profit-oriented organizations, but we offer, apart from the undergraduate degrees, the master's degrees, and also it means the doctoral degrees or the postgraduate and external degrees. Through that, we are earning profits, right? Through our activities, we are earning profits, and we use those profits for our internal operation. Okay, so firstly, if we understand a business based on its key characteristics, here you can see the main characteristics that we can use to identify a business, right? These are adopted from your teacher's guide. I think you have already downloaded your teacher's guide. It is online available. If you find, basically, if you find in your search engine, teacher's guide business studies A levels, then you can download the PDF of this particular teacher's guide. So that will be very important for you when you are doing the studies, which kind of things, which kind of areas are covered in your syllabus, right? And also it is very useful for you to attend much more to the things, the areas that will not check in the A-level examination. Okay, the main thing that the kind of a bad thing that the students are doing is they much more bother about the things that are not relevant with the syllabus. Then it will limit your time, your effort that you have to spend more on the relevant areas of the syllabus. Therefore, keep track on with your teacher's guide. That will be very useful for you. Okay. So when I move to the characteristic of business, here you can see an exchange or selling take place. So we do a particular selling exchange in a business. Okay, so there you can see the suppliers, the customers, intermediaries. So with that, the exchanges and sellings are taken place, right? And also the transactions of goods and services taken place. So using money or using yes, the cash, money, what we do, we engage with the transactions, right? We engage with the transactions, and also the continuous transactions are taken place. With the one transaction, the business not ends. So with the one transaction, if it is ends, it is not a business, right? For an example, if I have a old motor vehicle, I sell it to another person. So it is not a business, right? It is not a business. So if I have a kind of a motor vehicle shops, and if I continuously engage the transaction in buying and selling, so that is a business. So continuous transaction should be taken place, and the business is motivated by profits or the benefits. It can be profits, or if not, it can be the benefits, right? So and also there is a risk for a business. There is a risk because we know that the environment is a highly volatile, it is highly uncertain, it can be changed. For an example, if we take the current business environment, the COVID-19 pandemic was emerged in a ad hoc manner, in a kind of an instant manner. We never expected such kind of influence, such kind of impact for the environment. And also we face with a kind of a very serious economic crisis, right? So with that, the businesses can be affected, the businesses can be influenced, and also the customers' preferences can be changed, and there can be some sudden natural disasters. So doing the businesses, necessarily there is a risk. And also businesses create wants. So when I was discussing about needs and wants, so I discussed with you how the businesses create wants. Okay, they expire the current products and they create the new wants among the consumers, among the customers. And also it is understood as an economic activity, right? So why we understand it is an economic activity? It is engaged with the production and also distribution of the goods and services, right? The businesses are engaged with the production and also distribution of the products. So these key elements can be identified as the characteristics. However, in the examination, when checking your understanding about the characteristics of a business, it will not directly check, right? Now, will not directly ask what is a characteristic of a business, or mention the characteristic of a business. Such kind of questions will not be asked. They will be given some scenarios, or they will give some sort of examples, and they will ask whether to identify whether it is a characteristic or not, right? Sometimes there can be they will give some examples like kind of supermarket and retail shop, and also as I said earlier, a car shop, tea shop, likewise, and under that kind of a non-business, okay, selling a your old motor vehicle to another person. Then within those elements you have to identify the activity which is not a business. In that manner your knowledge will be checked, right? And after that you have to understand the categorization or classification of the businesses. It is in a very broader manner. I'm not going to discuss all these categorizations, classifications in very detailed manner. However, you should have the understanding on these primary production, secondary production, and tertiary production, such kind of things when you are go to the A-level examination. Because in each and every year, your knowledge on these production is checked, right? So if I simply say the primary production, so those are not further processed, right? So we utilize the extracted things from the natural environment as it is. අපි ස්වභාවික පරිසරයෙන් උකහා ගන්නා දේවල් ඒ ආකාරයෙන්ම යොදා ගැනීම, ඒ ආකාරයෙන්ම උකහා ගන්නා කර්මාන්ත තමයි අපි ප්‍රාථමික කර්මාන්ත විදිහට හඳුනගන්නේ. When it comes to secondary products, in secondary production, we do the different changes, or we do the different transformations for the primary production. When it comes to tertiary products, those are considered with the trade and services, right? Trade and services. Give me 1 minute. Okay. So sorry for the disturbance. I got a call, right? So the understanding on this classification is very essential when you are facing for your A-level examination. And also the business functions. If we take a business, within that business there are different activities, so those activities are understood under the business functions, right? So the operation, manufacturing and finance functions and accounting functions and also marketing functions, promotions and also pricing, so those are coming under marketing. And administrating, human resource, research and development, information management, such kind of a range of activities happen in a business. So those are identified as the business functions. And also here it is not mentioned, you should have the understanding on the objectives of a business. What are the different objectives that a business possesses, right? So for examples, we can identify maximizing the profit, right? The maximizing the market share, maximizing sales, and grabbing new customers, and also maximizing the employee well-being, maximizing the customer satisfaction. So such kind of objectives can be seen within the businesses. Okay. And the different classifications or different bases that we use to classify the businesses. අපි business වර්ගීකරණය, ව්‍යාපාර වර්ගීකරණය සඳහා යොදා ගන්න විවිධ පදනම් සම්බන්ධයෙන්මුත් ඔයාලා understanding එකක් තබා ගැනීම ඉතාමත් වැදගත්. So based on the nature of the production, so it is whether it is primary, secondary or tertiary, right? There can be the businesses based on the primary production, farming, fishing, mining, based on the primary production, or can be the businesses based on the secondary production, right? Manufacturing businesses or the assembling businesses, construction businesses, likewise. Or it can be the tertiary production or the tertiary businesses, the businesses which are engaged with the trade, okay, the foreign and local trade, wholesale trade and retailing, or the businesses who are engaged with financial, communication, transportation, banking, insurance, such kind of businesses, and import and export businesses. Those are coming under tertiary businesses. So based on the nature of the production, we can identify different type of businesses. And the nature of the product, we can identify mainly two type of businesses based on the nature of the product. Those are the goods related businesses and services related businesses. Okay, goods related businesses and the services related businesses. And also based on the production sector, there are mainly three sectors in an economy: agriculture, industry and services, right? So whether the business is engaged with the agricultural sector, industrial sector or the service sector, we can identify different types of businesses. And the ownership, whether it is public ownership or private ownership, we can, based on that, we can identify different types of businesses. Okay, and the scale, the micro scale, small scale, medium scale and large scale. Likewise, under the scale of the business, we can identify different type of businesses. And the objective, as I said earlier at the very beginning of understanding on the businesses, whether it is profit oriented, non-profit oriented, based on that, based on the objective, we can identify different types of businesses. So those classifications, understanding on the different classification of business also important. And finally, it is very crucial, it is very essential to have an understanding on new trends that you can see with the businesses. So you know that today we can see a global economy. The globalization is a very pervasive, very highly spread among the communities. So information about the goods and services is very it is a it is very wide, right? In a wider range of information we can have, and also the businesses have the opportunity to access, to approach the global market, to other countries, right? And also we can see a huge development, huge improvement, huge enhancement of the telecommunication and transportation. Okay, so with that, our market has become very broad, very wide. We can easily access for the markets in other countries as well, right? And also e-business and digital business is a very famous among the customers, right? By using e-platforms, digital platforms, internet, World Wide Web, using such kind of facilities, infrastructure, the people can engage with the businesses, and also the sustainable business. So with the sustainable development concept, now the businesses are focusing more on the sustainability, and also the consumers, the customers very conscious, the customers very aware about this sustainable development. Now you can see there is a trend among the customers to purchase environmental friendly products. They are much more aware about the purchasing, and they aware and they consider whether this product is environmental friendly or not. So with that, the businesses also try to adopt these environmental friendly concepts to their businesses. For example, you can see the Kiel supermarkets, they are going with the green concept. Okay, so the sustainable business is a new trend which we can see with contemporary business environment. Okay, and the using artificial intelligence, knowledge, information is a very crucial thing when we are doing our business in today contemporary competitive business environment. Okay, so the using the technology, using the computer technology and robotics, so those are adopted with the business. So those are very rare in the Sri Lankan businesses, but we see the businesses in the developed countries, we can see the adaptation of this AI, artificial intelligence, with their businesses. So for an example, if you refer the social media, so if you refer the television news, most recently, the Korea, as I can remember, South Korea, they had invented a television presenter using AI, right? Even in India, they are using AI in television presenting. So the AI is used in various aspects when we are doing the businesses. So those can be identified as the new trends in the businesses right now. So I discussed with you regarding what is a business and key characteristics of businesses, and the objectives of businesses, business functions, classification of business, new trends, and how the businesses are evolved in a broader manner with the different items, different categories. So those are identified with this particular slide. So those are the whole about the businesses. Those are the whole about the businesses according to your syllabus, right? And with having a very quick understanding on the businesses, now we are moving ahead with the business environment. Okay, so understanding the business environment is very important for the growth, right? For the growth and sustain of our business. If we will not understand our business environment properly, then we cannot adopt our business to the environment, right? If we will cannot adopt our business with the environment, that will cause for the that will cause for the collapsing of our business as well. So අපි ව්‍යාපාරයක් කරද්දී අපි ව්‍යාපාරයේ පවතින ව්‍යාපාර පරිසරයේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් හොඳ අවබෝධයක් ලබාගෙන කටයුතු කරන්න ඕන. එහෙම නැත්නම් අපි අපේ පරිසරය අවබෝධ කරගත්තේ නැත්නම් ඒක අපේ ව්‍යාපාරය ultimately collapse කරන්න පවා හේතු වෙන්න පුළුවන්, right? Because our competitors, if our competitors are very conscious, if our competitors are very aware about the business environment, they will make their own changes with the environmental changes, right? For an example, if we take the technology is very rapidly changing. Okay, technology rapidly change. With that, if we are doing a business, we have to adopt, we have to take that technology to our businesses as well. Because if our competitors will adopt that technology, they will become more efficient, they will become more effective than us, right? So then they will easily face with the competition and they will win the competition, they will win the business competition, and we will lost our consumers and we will face with the losses and we will swept out from the market. Okay, so if we have an understanding on what is business environment, we see this business environment is simply referred as the sum totality of all the forces and factors, right? So those forces and factors can be internal or those can be external, right? So all the forces and factors, either internal or external, that can affect for the business and the business operations. Again, I'm saying the business environment is the sum totality of all the internal and external factors and forces which influence on the business and its operations. Okay, so the business environment, when we identify the business environment in detail, we can identify it in two main parts, two main categories: the internal environment and the external environment, right? So the external environment is further classified into micro environment and the macro environment. When it comes to internal environment is all the factors and forces which influence the business being within the business, right? And also business has a control towards these internal environmental factors. For examples, you can see the organization's owners, managers, employees, the organization's structure, organization's culture, resources. So those are identified as the internal environmental factors. When it comes to external environment, those factors and forces influence the organization, influence the business by being outside of the organization. Being outside of the organization, the organization's boundary, outside the organization's boundary. So micro environment, we can see, so there is a kind of a certain ability for the business to control these micro environmental factors, but not much as the internal environmental factors. You can see the examples: customers, suppliers, competitors, the potential investors. The potential investors means the investors or the businesses who are expecting to enter the market in future, right? And the substitute product, the product which gives the same utility that same as our own product, right? and the producers. So those are identified. Sorry, the substitute product producers. Sorry. So those are identified as the micro-environmental factors, right? And when it comes to macro-environment, you can see the different macro-environmental factors. These macro-environmental factors are out of the control of the business. The business cannot control these macro-environmental factors, and they make the both direct and indirect influences for the business. Okay. So the political environment, the political changes, the political instabilities which can be happen, and also the different political decisions taken in the country. So those can affect the business in favorable and unfavorable manner. Okay, and the economic environment, the inflation and interest rate, and also the different economic factors, just like the employment. So those economic factors influence for the businesses. And the social environment, the culture, and also how the society value the different things, how the society believes the different things, how the society react for the different business decisions. For an example, we can take the preferences of the different social groups, the changes of the preferences of the society. So those can be influenced for the business. And the technological environment, the technological advancement, right? The new machineries or new systems, and the natural environment, the natural disasters, and also the pandemic situations. So those can be identified under natural environment. And the demographic environment, the gender and the ethnicities, religion, okay, and the age levels, education, lifestyles. So those are coming under the demographic environment. And the global environment, the changes which can be happen globally, the global market. So those are coming under the macro environment, right? So as I said earlier, there should be a clear understanding on the internal and also external environmental factors by the businesses, right? So in order to analyze, in order to understand this internal and external environment, we use this SWOT analysis, right? අපි SWOT analysis එක කරන්නේ අපේ business environment එක understand කරගන්න සහ ඒක විශ්ලේෂණය කරන්න. So in order to analyze, in order to understand the internal environment, we use the strengths and weaknesses. We understand the strengths and weaknesses. The strengths are the areas that the business do well and advantages for the business. And the weaknesses are the areas that we should improve in terms of our business, our own business, right? And when it comes to opportunities, the opportunities and threats are emerged from the external environment. So the external factors. So the strengths are the external factors that may contribute for the business success, or the it is advantageous for the business, right? It contribute, or it helps to improve the efficiency of the business or improve the profits of the business. When it comes to threats, the threats are unfavorable influences for the business which emerge from the external environment, right? So the potential problems or potential risks that can be caused from the external factors, right? So doing this SWOT analysis, right? Performing this SWOT analysis will give us a kind of a clear understanding regarding what are our strengths and how we can use those strengths in order to minimize the weaknesses. Okay. And also what are the opportunities we have and how to use these opportunities to minimize the threats, right? Or convert those threats into the opportunities. Okay. So in that manner, we can analyze the environment and we can have the advantages from that business environment. Okay. And after that, having an understanding on the business environment, it is important to understand the stakeholders, right? The stakeholders, when understanding the stakeholders, we should consider about who are the stakeholders. Stakeholders like kawuda, and why stakeholders engage with our business, right? And also how stakeholders can influence for our business. Okay. So if we take who are the stakeholders are the parties who have an interest on the organization, right? Who have an interest on the organization. And why they engage with the organization, they have to fulfill some certain interest through our organization, right? And on the other hand, our organization in turn depend on these stakeholders as well. Therefore, there is a kind of a mutual interaction between the organization and the stakeholder. So if you refer this particular figure, you can see the arrows which are gone both sides, right? So it denotes that the stakeholders have an interest towards the organization or towards the business to fulfill their particular interest. And in turn, the organization also fulfill the organization some objectives, some aims through these particular stakeholders, right? For an example, if we take the owners are having the benefit, the profit from our organization, and in turn, the organization is operated from the owner's investment. Then regardless of owner's investment, we cannot conduct our business, right? So likewise, there is a kind of a mutual relationship between the organization and the stakeholders. Okay, then we should have an understanding on who are the stakeholders, why stakeholders interest for our organization, and also how their interest can influence for the business and the business operations. Okay, so here you can see plenty of stakeholders: owners, financial community, activist groups, customers, managers, unions, employees, trade associations, competitors, suppliers, government, political groups, the different types of the different kind of stakeholders, right? So you should be able to keep in mind at least 6 stakeholders, right? And why they have an interest to the organization and how they can influence. You should be able to write, right? So now I will move forward with the second lesson. Before start this lesson, give me 5 minutes to refresh, to drink some water, and also I will give you an interval and resume the rest of the session, right? Right. So after having the break, now I'm going to discuss the second lesson which it is supposed to do today. It is interaction between government and business, right? So there is a kind of a very close relationship, the government and business. So in order to influence, or in order to regulate the businesses, or in order to support the businesses, the government is there. And not only the supporting businesses which the government does, the government is doing the various of things to a country. However, without existing a government, the businesses will not be regulated and will not have the different benefits and different kind of infrastructure towards the businesses. And in the other hand, on the other hand, the businesses are doing a kind of a very important role to the development, or to the sustainability of the country, right? Therefore, there is a kind of a very closer relationship between the government and business. And within this particular lesson, what we are going to discuss, how government influence to the business, in which ways the government influence to the businesses, and the different objectives of government, and fiscal policy and monetary policy. What is the fiscal policy of a government, and what is the monetary policy, and how those fiscal and monetary policies will influence for the businesses. And also the consumer protection, how the government involved with the consumer protection. And also we will discuss the functions of Consumer Affairs Authority and Sri Lanka Standards Institution, right? Okay, so first of all, let's see what is a government. So in this slide, you can clearly see that government is an organization or administration in which a group of people work together as a unit, right? That unit elected by people of the country to run the nation as indicated by the defined law, right? So there is a law in a country. In order to run that country or the nation according with that defined law, the government gives a kind of an administration, kind of a rule for that country, right? So why we need a government for a country? The main task of the government is maintaining law and order, right? Maintain and protect the country's law and order, and also to provide the public services. There are some services, those are not adequately, those are not provided by the private sector or not provided adequately by the private sector. For that, in order to provide the public services, for example, in Sri Lanka, the health, education, to provide such kind of public services, the governments involved. And the protect the rights and freedoms of the individuals. We know that we all have the human rights, right? We have a freedom as the individuals. We have the right to live in a life with a freedom, in a peaceful life. In order to protect that, the government works, right? And also to promote the economic development. And to promote in order to increase the gross national product, and also in order to increase the disposable income of the individuals, right? For that, the government works. And also they represent the people. For an example, we know that the head of the government in Sri Lanka, president. So the president represent the entire country, right? President represent the entire country in United Nations or any other type of international affairs, right? And also ensure public health and safety. We know that if we take the health in Sri Lanka, if we take the private sector, it is somewhat costly, right? Expensive, and each and every person cannot afford the private health services. So for that, in order to ensure the public health, the government is intervened, right? Government intervenes. The government have the public hospitals and also different clinics to ensure the public health. And also the safety of the country. Using forces, the government involved to ensure the safety of the citizens. And also managing public resources. There are different public resources, natural resources in Sri Lanka. So government is responsible to manage those public resources. And the foster social cohesion. The social cohesion means the social harmony. Simply, it is the social harmony. So in order to eliminate the civil wars, and also in order to eliminate the conflicts, the government works, right? the government involved. So these are the different facts, these are different reasons in order to say why we need a government, or the different actions, the different tasks done by the government. Okay, so how these government influence for the businesses, or how these this government, how the government intervene, how the government interact with businesses, right? So here you can see the government interact with the businesses as a customer. It means the government purchase the goods and services of the other businesses. For an example, the medicines for the public hospitals. So government has their own suppliers. Okay, a business chain in order to purchase those medicines and other medical equipments to the public hospitals. Okay, in that sense, the government is involved as a customer, right? And also, the government is involved as a competitor. You know that there are government organizations, government businesses, right? The government hospitals and also the government corporations. So those government businesses compete with the other private businesses. And in that manner, the government can be considered as a competitor with the other businesses. In providing, for an example, if we take the television channels, we know that there are government-owned television channels, right? ITN, in Sri Lanka, ITN, Jatika Rupawahini, iChannel, Vasantham, such kind of TV channels are the government-owned. And also there are private-owned TV channels, right? Hiru TV, Derana, Sirasa, Siyatha, so such kind of things. So we can see a kind of a very rigorous competition between these government-owned channels and also the private channels, TV channels. So we can identify there the government as a competitor and the government as a regulator. What it means by the government as a regulator? So they regulate the businesses. Api Sinhalen kiyana niyamane karana kiyala. Okay, they regulate the businesses. They regulate the business activities by bringing different laws and regulations. You know that the businesses should adhere with those laws and regulations. And also the government has different regulatory authorities. For example, Consumer Affairs Authority and also Central Environmental Authority. So they ensure that the businesses are doing their operations according to the laws and regulations. And also government acts as a motivator. They motivate, they inspire the businesses, right? Especially there are the government organizations to consult, right? Or inspire the businesses, right? They give the consultancy and also sometimes some monetary facilities, loans for the businesses in order to motivate them to conduct the business within the country. And also government act as an infrastructure and essential service provider, right? The harbor and also giving the electricity, water, giving such kind of infrastructure is done by the businesses to motivate and also to encourage the businesses. And also government act as a taxation agent, collecting taxes from the businesses, right? Based on the business profits, the government collect tax. So in that manner, we can identify the government as a taxation agent. And also government act as a policy maker, right? Making the policies in order to regulate, in order to make adhere the businesses to those policies, right? So you know that there are different policies which are stipulated by the government in terms of consumers, in terms of the competition, right? And also it can be some tax policies. And next we will discuss the monetary policy and fiscal policy, right? So those policies are directly influenced for the business and their operations. For an example, if we take the fiscal policy, the tax amounts, tax rates, and how the tax are collected. So those are identified, those are decided with the fiscal policy. So that policies are influenced for the businesses and the business operations. Okay. So there are different objectives of a government in order to achieve, right? So a government should always try to ensure that they are trying to achieve these economic objectives, right? So the economic growth and development. The economic growth, basically we identify with the improvement of real national product, right? Real national product. And also the development is concerned with the other different measures, other different human development measures, the increasement of or the betterment of better performing of those measures. For an example, human development measure, right? And the full employment means engaging the workforce with the labor force with the different employments, right? The unemployment means not having the jobs for the workforce. So the government should ensure that the workforce is engaged with the different job opportunities, right? And the fair income distribution, the income should be distributed among all the parties of a country in a fair manner. The gap between the income should be minimized, but in real world we can see many more gaps between the incomes of the people, right? So it is an objective of a government to minimize the gaps of the income among the citizens of the country and the social groups of the country. And also economic stability, to control the inflation and stable the economy. It is another objective of a government. Okay, and also better international trade, sound international trades and sound balances. Sorry, sound balances, and also having very friendly relationships with the other countries. So that is another objective. And also the sustainable development. The sustainable development is mainly considered where we are consuming the resources without compromising the usage of the future generation, right? We consume, especially the natural resources, without compromising the ability to use those resources by the future generation, right? So the sustainable development, the development of the country, minimizing destroying the natural resources or minimizing the depletion of the natural resources, that is another objective performed by the government. Okay, so how the businesses can contribute to achieve those objectives of the government. So මේ government එකේ objectives achieve කරගන්න කොහොමද businesses වලට contribute කරන්න පුළුවන්? By paying taxes, right? Paying taxes. The taxes is a main income source for government. So in order to the government's operations, right? Government's operations, those tax income can be used. And obeying government's rules and regulations, doing the businesses in a sustainable manner, and also obeying with the trade laws, and also using local resources. From that, the businesses can engage with the full employment of the resources, right? and also the contribution for the employment, giving jobs for the citizens of the country, and also the environmental behavior, acting as a very environmental friendly organization, and doing the operations in very environmental friendly manner. With that kind of activities, the businesses can ensure these objectives, right? The ensure that the businesses help the government to achieve these objectives, right? Okay, so now I am moving forward with the economic policies of a government. So if we take the economic policies of a government, we can see two types of policies, mainly two types of policies, the fiscal policy and the monetary policy, right? So the fiscal policy, it is mainly engaged with the government's income and expenditure, right? It is mainly engaged with the government's income and the expenditure. So in managing income and the expenditure, the government use their fiscal policy, right? So the fiscal policy are two faceted. Those are the government income and the government expenditure, right? So the government income, the incomes of government, having the income for the government is two ways, that is the tax income and the non-tax income, right? The tax income also can be identified as the direct tax and the indirect tax. For examples, for the direct tax, we can identify the individual income tax, corporate tax, nation building tax, capital gain tax, such kind of taxes. So why we say those the direct tax, those are taken directly from the income holder, right? Those are taken directly from the income holder. So the indirect taxes, those are not direct, right? Those are paid by the business organizations, but that is indirectly gone for the consumer. For example, the value-added tax and customs duties, excise duties. So such kind of things can be identified as the indirect taxes. When it comes to non-tax income, for examples, we can take the fines which are taken from the court, right? And also different registration fees. Such kind of things can be identified with the non-tax income. And when it comes to government expenditure, we can identify two types of expenditure, recurring expenditure and capital expenditure. The recurring expenditure mainly used for the day-to-day expenditures of the government organization, to pay the salaries of the government workers, right? And the capital, so that is an example for the recurring expenditure. When it comes to capital expenditure, those are the long-term investments which are done by the government, right? For the capital goods, for the buildings or for the roads, right? And it can be for the reservoirs, likewise for the long-term benefits. Okay, so when it comes to monetary policy, the main instrument, you know that the main instrument used by the government to control the money supply is the interest rate, right? So the monetary policy is action. It is the action taken to influence the money supply and interest rate in the economy in order to achieve the goals of the central bank. එතකොට අපි දන්නවා රජයක මුදල් සැපයුම් පාලනය කරන්න යොදා ගන්න ප්‍රධාන උපකරණය තමයි පොලි අනුපාතිකය කියලා කියන්නේ. එතකොට මහ බැංකුවේ තියෙන විවිධ අරමුණු, ඒ අරමුණු මුදුන් පමුණුවා ගන්න ආර්ථිකයේ මුදල් සැපයුම හා පොලි අනුපාතිකය කරා බලපෑම් එල්ල කරන්න අනුගමනය කරන ක්‍රියාමාර්ගය, ඒ ක්‍රියාපටිපාටිය තමයි අපි monetary policy එක විදිහට හඳුනගන්නේ, right? So there are different tools there are different tools which used by Central Bank of Sri Lanka to exchange the money supply, right? One is open market operations. Through the open market operations, what CBSL try to do to influence for the liquidity of the money market, right? Influence to the liquidity of the money market. And by buying and or the purchasing and selling the different type of we say the securities. Buying and selling different type of securities, they influence for the liquidity of the money market, and also the changing statutory requirements. The statutory requirements mainly focus with the commercial banks, right? So the central bank declares, or the central bank decides kind of minimum saving requirements for the commercial banks. Through that they can influence for the money supply, and also changing the discount rates and imposing credit limits. By doing these kind of different types of activities, the central bank try to manage the money supply of the money market. So that is attached with this monetary policy, right? So it is a very quick recap on the economic policies of the government. So there is no much more time to discuss in detail. With that, I will move forward. So here I focus on the different measures or the different type of actions taken by the government in order to protect the customer. So next slide, it will be discussed regarding the Consumer Affairs Authority and also Sri Lanka's standards institution. So before that, we will have an idea about consumer rights and consumer responsibilities here. Okay. So when it comes to consumer rights, it is identified 8 types of consumer rights. You can clearly see on the slide. So here the first 4 rights. Okay, the first 4 rights were declared or published by the John F. Kennedy, who was a former president of the United States, and the other 4 was identified by the Consumer International, that particular organization. So these are the rights which are given for a consumer when the consumer is engaging in the market. Okay, so the first one you can see, right to safety, right? So we know that the consumer is using the different products which are purchased from the market. So there, the consumer has the right to purchase the products which are not harmful for the health of the consumer, right? Which are not harmful for the consumer's health. And when it comes to right to be informed, the consumer have the right to have the information regarding the purchase. It can be regarding the price, it can be regarding the quality, the ingredients, okay, and the expire dates. So customer or the consumer has the right to have such kind of information. And also the customer have the right to choose the preferred products, right? And also the right to be heard. So the right to be heard means, sorry, the customer has the right, or the customer has the ability to have the attention of the necessary authorities regarding their requirements. Okay. And the right to satisfaction of basic needs. You know that what are the basic needs? Food and safety, and also the clothes, such kind of basic needs. Also, the customer has the right to satisfy this kind of needs. And also the right to redress. If a kind of a misconduct is happen, if kind of a customer right violation is happen, then the customer has the right to redress from those from those offended parties, right? And right to consumer education, have the education regarding their purchasing, and also to become kind of aware customer, and right to live in a healthy environment without or live in a kind of a hazard free environment is another right which is possessed by the customer. And when it comes to consumer responsibilities, as well as we are possessing different rights, we have own responsibilities to do. Those can be identified as the critical awareness. We should be aware regarding the quality and price, and also the status of the different products when we are going to purchase those things, and also the active participation in order to ensure the rights of the consumer, right? Active participation in order to protect, the rights of the consumer. And also social concern. While consuming the different products, different goods, we have to concern about the society, whether it will happen any impact, any harmful, any harm for the society. And also the environmental awareness. We should aware regarding the environment as well, right? And the solidarity, cooperation. So here we should work cooperatively, we should work collectively in order to ensure, in order to protect our consumer rights. So in that manner, the solidarity cooperation is given. So I gave a kind of a very quick recap on the consumer protection. So you can see the Consumer Affairs Authority. So it is established in order to ensure the customers or the consumers' rights. So here there are much more information about Consumer Affairs Authority. I'm not going to read all these things. All the things that you must know regarding Consumer Affairs Authority is included in this slide. I will share this slide, right? You can refer this slide as a note, and you can self-study the things that you should know regarding Consumer Affairs Authority. And also Sri Lanka Standards Institution. And also there is a very lengthy note regarding this institution as well. You can self-study, you can read these facts, these points, and educate regarding the aims of the Sri Lanka Standard Institution, functions of it, and also why Sri Lanka Standard Institution is important to the businesses. Such kind of knowledge can be gathered through referring this material. Right. So with that, I will end the discussion on the government and the businesses, and after that I will move to the money, banking and monetary system. Again, before starting this particular lesson, give me 1 to 2 minutes, yeah, only 2 minutes to refresh and start that session.
So shall I take 2 minutes?
Yes, sure.
Thank you, sir. So I want to tell about the model paper book that we are launching. As a part of this project target, we have also prepared a model paper book which you can purchase for just 700 rupees. This book contains 6 model papers for accounting, economics, and business studies, along with the answer scripts, which have been prepared by teachers in leading schools. This book is available in both mediums, and also all funds raised through the project target is directed towards Project Siswara. Project Siswara is a community service project in which a rural underprivileged school will be chosen and their necessities will be fulfilled. So if you can, please contribute towards this worthy cause. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So now we are going to discuss money, banking, and monetary system. That is another key lesson in your syllabus. So here we will focus on what is money and the monetary system in Sri Lanka. And also we focus on Central Bank of Sri Lanka, what is its functions, and also the certified commercial banks, how they influence for the businesses, and also the checks and electronic money that we use in the transactions among the businesses, and also the e-banking. Such kind of parts will be covered within this particular lesson, right? Okay, so I think you heard what I said earlier. These are the contents of this lesson: money, monetary system in Sri Lanka, Central Bank of Sri Lanka, certified commercial banks, and checks and electronic money, and e-banking. So when we firstly focus on money, so money is identified as anything that is generally accepted in exchange of goods and services is considered as money, right? Anything that is generally accepted in exchange of goods and services is considered as money, right? So if we focus on the evolution of this money, you know that in ancient history, in the past, the direct exchange of goods without the use of money was called barter system, right? Barter system එක විදිහට තමයි මේ සල්ලි ගනුදෙනුවක් නැතුව බාණ්ඩු මාරු කියන දේ හැඳින්වුවේ. So the various difficulties were encountered in this barter system. Therefore, the need of a common medium of exchange that was acceptable to all was felt for the parties. Okay, so that medium of exchange was known as money, or in other words, currency, right? So today, the necessity of money, or the money is very necessary for the exchange, right? Obviously, we need money for an exchange. Okay, so when you understand about money, you have to pay your attention mainly for the features of good money and the functions of money and types of money, right? So when you pay your attention to the features of good money, so it is commonly accepted, right? The money, a good money, should be commonly accepted by the parties of a nation. And also, it should be easy to recognize. At a glance, we should be able to recognize it as a money, right? And also, it should be divisible. We should be able to divide it into the smaller amounts as well. For an example, if you need to pay as 10 rupees, it should be able. If we need to 10 as 1 lakh, it should be able, right? So it should be divisible and also easy to carry, should be portable. By keeping a wallet or by keeping in our bags, we can carry money, right? Easily bring money. And difficult to counterfeit, or it should be able to, it should be unique, right? It should be unique. It should not be able to counterfeit or mimic. And it should be durable. Not short term. We should be able to use money, the coins and notes, or any type of money for a longer period of time, right? And also there are different functions of money. You should have a very clear understanding on these functions of money, right? One is being a medium of exchange. What it mean by being a medium of exchange? Money acting as the intermediary in exchange of goods and services, or else the price of goods and services is paid in terms of currency. When we are exchanging goods and services, this is used as a kind of an intermediary, right? For example, you purchase a book by giving 100 rupees, or you purchase a pen by giving 50 rupees. So being a medium of exchange and being a standard of value measuring. So when you are going to purchasing someone, you ask from the Mudalali how much this is, how much this is. Then the salesperson says the value of that particular product in terms of money value, monetary value, right? Then the money is used as a kind of a measurement in order to measure the value, and also acting as a store of value. Money can be stored. Notes and coins can be used in the future by storing them. We can save money, right? In the bank accounts or in the drawers, in our cupboards, we can store. And acting as a deferred payment, right? So that means the possibility of purchasing goods and services at present under the terms and conditions to settle the payment down on a particular future date determined. Again, I'm saying acting as deferred payment medium, it means that the possibility of purchasing goods and services at present under the terms and conditions to settle the payment down on a particular future date determined, right? So it is mostly related with the loans, taking loans, okay? And purchasing goods and services based the credit base. And after that, you have to pay your attention to the types of money, right? So there are different types of money. The currency, you know that අපි ව්‍යවහාරික මුදල් කියලා කියනවා සිංහලෙන්. Basically those are the notes and coins. Okay, the notes and coins issues on the order of the financial authority are known as currency. In Sri Lanka, the financial authority is the central bank, right? The notes and coins issued with the authority of the central bank are identified as the currency of Sri Lanka. And the bank money, the balances held in demand deposits or current accounts in commercial banks, those are known as bank money. And near money, the treasury bills, commercial papers, such kind of things are identified under near money. So those are not having 100% liquidity, right? But those can accumulate, store the value. And e-money, you know that the credit cards, debit card that we use, those are the e-money. So apart from these things, today we can see the cryptocurrency, right? We call as the digital and virtual currency. The cryptocurrency is operated on decentralized network we call it as blockchains. And you know that most well-known and widely used cryptocurrency is Bitcoin. So which was introduced, the Bitcoin was introduced by an anonymous person, and it is given a kind of a decentralized network in order to facilitate that exchange, right? So you know that the blockchains, and you may heard about the Bitcoins. So those are attached with this concept of cryptocurrency. And also digital wallet, another kind of type of facility or type of financial facility which is given with the advancement of the technology. So it is a kind of a software based application that allows users to secure or the store or manage their digital assets, including cryptocurrencies, payment cards, loyalty cards, and other types of digital credentials, right? So you all know that with the printing of notes, the central bank has given that printing right to Thomas De Laru company. And also in order to producing or manufacturing coins in Sri Lanka, central bank has given that authority, has given that opportunity to the Royal Mint Company. That understanding is also very important when you are having the necessary knowledge regarding money. So in terms of money, we define what are money, and also we discuss the features of good money and functions of money and different types of money. Okay, so after that, we are going to discuss the financial institutions in Sri Lanka. So it is a very broader categorization when we identify the financial institutions. So we can categorize, or we can show those institutions in this kind of a diagram: the banking sector and other financial institutions that accept the deposit, specialized financial institutions, and contracted saving institutions. I'm not going to discuss all these institutions and banks in a very detailed manner. So you should have the understanding on each and every these categories, and also how these different institutions contribute for the business activities and the business development, right? So if I move forward with the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, you can see there are two main objectives of Central Bank of Sri Lanka. One is maintain economic and price stability without fluctuations of the economy, fluctuations of the prices. The central bank is trying to maintain a kind of a stability of those aspects. Give me 1 minute. Okay, so the other one is maintaining the stability of the financial system, right? So making a strong financial system without kind of barriers, blockage. So that is another objective of the central bank, right? So in order to achieve these two types of objectives, central bank is engaged with the different activities. So those different activities can be identified under two categories: main activities and agency activities, right? So under main activities, you can see the manipulation of financial policies, manipulation of exchange ratio policies, management of Sri Lanka's official foreign reserves, issuing and distribution of currency in use, working as the supervisor of banks and non-banking institutions, working as the financial agent or banker and the economic advisor for the government, and also providing facilities to maintain the central bank settlement accounts of the commercial banks and primary traders, and their clearance and settlement. So such kind of main activities can be seen. And also when it comes to agency activities, you can clearly see on the slide: management of state loans, foreign exchange control, to work as primary institution concerned with the rural loan schemes for small scale finance institutions, and management of the employee provident funds. Such kind of peripheral or such kind of agency activities are done by central bank, right? So how the activities of central bank are supportive to the success of businesses. In discussing those things, we have identified few technological based systems or some sophisticated systems used by central bank. Okay, here you can see slips, SWIFTs, RTGS, SSDS, such kind of different supportive activities that are performed by the central bank, right? So slips, we identify it as Sri Lanka Interbank Payment System. So this system with the use of computers is used for the settlement of interbank transactions. So this interbank payment system, so it was carried out by the central bank, has been entrusted to Sri Lanka Clear Corporate Limited, Sri Lanka Clear Company Limited, which is owned jointly by the central bank and commercial banks, right? So, so it is use the technology in order to settlement of the interbank transactions. So, Sri Lanka Clear Private Company Limited, so that is facilitated for this particular task. The other one is SWIFT. SWIFT is used. The word is Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication. So this is a network that embraces financial market across the world based on the latest technologies. International money transfer between banks are facilitated through this particular system, right? The other one is RTGS. It is called as real-time gross settlement system. This is a computer system that has been set up using modern technology and standardized for the settlement of high-value transfers among banks within Sri Lanka without any time delays. Okay. This is supported because settlements can be done in a very shorter period of time. And the SSDS, it is called as Scriptless Securities Depository System. Scriptless Securities Depository System. So this is a system used to effect paperless transaction in the buying and selling of securities instead of the printed security certificates. This is also known as Sri Lanka Secure. So when these two systems means RTGS, real-time gross settlement system, and SSDS, Scriptless Securities Depository System, combination of RTGS and SSDS is called as Lanka Settle System. Okay. So that is all about central bank, the main objectives of the central bank, and how the objectives are achieved with the main activities of the central bank, and how the activities of the central bank are supportive to the success of the business. So we discussed those things with the sophisticated systems of the central bank, SWIFT, RTGS, and SSDS. Right. So with that understanding, we will move forward with the commercial bank. Okay. So when it comes to the licensed commercial banks, we can see much more licensed commercial banks in Sri Lanka. I have given you some examples: Bank of Ceylon, People's Bank, Hatton National Bank, Sampath Bank, Amana Bank. Likewise, there are different type of banks, right? So these commercial banks, they can keep both saving accounts and also the current accounts of their customers. But when it comes to the saving banks, they cannot keep the current accounts and they cannot engage with the check related transactions. But the licensed commercial banks, they can engage with both savings and also with the check related transaction, facilitate the check related transactions. Okay, so here you can see main two services that are offered by the licensed commercial banks. Those are the services related to deposits and the services related to lending. Okay, so when explaining regarding the services related to deposits, we can see three types of deposits: current account, saving accounts, and fixed deposit, right? And when it comes to the services related to lending, you can see overdraft and the loans. The loans are also two types of loans: business loans and consumer loans, right? Apart from the services of depositing and the lending, there are another services as well: agency services, leasing services, e-banking services, pawning services, safety locker facilities, purchase and sale of foreign exchange, credit card services, money remittance activities, issues of travelers checks, automatic banking services, and issuing of letters of credit. Such kind of peripheral activities or the peripheral services also given by the commercial banks. Okay, now we are going to discuss about another important monetary tool, that is kind of a monetary document or kind of transactionable document. So that is check, right? The check is identified as the written order issued by the bank current account holder. It is called as the drawer. To the commercial bank, it is identified as the drawee, asking to pay the amount stated on the check to the person named thereon. He or she is called as the payee, right? Or to the bearer of the check. It can be the payee, the named person of the check, or the bearer of the check, right? So there are two main parties who are involved with the check transaction. So those are the drawer, drawee, and the payee, right? And also there are two types of checks: the bearer checks and the order checks. I'm not going to discuss these things in a detailed manner, so I'm just recalling your memory, right? And also you should be able to identify the elements that are attached with a check, right? Elements that we can see on a check. Okay, give me 1 minute. Okay, so we were discussing about the bearer checks and the order checks. The bearer checks, So this is a check where the printed notion O bearer, here you can see O bearer. So that is not cancelled, right? So that is not cancelled. So those are the bearer checks. So the order checks, this is a check where a bearer has been struck off and its place order has been mentioned, right? So in that manner, we can differentiate the bearer checks and the order checks. And when it comes to the face of a check, we can identify the different elements there, the date and the name of the bank and branch, payee's name, the term of bearer, and the value of the check in words and the value of the check in figures. And also you can see the drawer's signature here and this particular code, right? That is called as magnetic ink character magnetic ink character recognition strip. There it contains check number, bank reference number, bank number, and the account number in order, right? And also here you can see once the check is detached from the checkbook, this particular small part is remain. We call it as check counter foil, right? So those are the different elements of the face of a check. And also you have to have an understanding on crossing checks. What it means by crossing checks? Drawing two parallel lines across the face of the check or stating the name of commercial bank is known as crossing a check. While any person can make a crossing on a check, it is only the drawer that can make such crossing invalid, right? So the necessary to crossing a check, the necessity to crossing a check, so it gives on additional safety for the check to ensure that the pay is stated on the check will receive this value and to prevent paying to the check at the bank counter. So these kind of limitations or these kind of securities are done through a crossing a check, right? It can be observed two types of crossing, general crossing and special crossing. The general crossing, we can identify drawing two parallel lines across the face of the check with or without any statement is called general crossing. Here you can see not negotiable or empty two lines, or account pay only, or up to maximum of 5,000. Likewise, with or without sentences or phrases, the two parallel lines are identified as general crossing. When it comes to special crossing, they are stating the name of commercial bank with or without parallel lines in a special cross. It is identified as special crossing, right? Here you can see Bank of Ceylon, or not negotiable, People's Bank, account pay only, People's Bank, or with or without another sentence or phrase, especially there should be a bank name between those two lines, right? And also you should have an understanding about this endorsement of checks and also dishonoring the checks, right? Why the endorsement is done, what it called by the endorsement. The endorsement is identified as, or can say, writing the name of the payee on the reverse side of the check exactly as it is stated on the face of the check is known as endorsement, right? Any person whose name the check is drawn must write his name on the back of the check when it is being transferred, right? So at the process of transferring the check, the endorsement is done, right? This endorsement confirms that the transfer is legitimate in order to show, or in order to indicate a legal transfer of the check, it is used this endorsement, right? And also you should have the understanding of the dishonoring checks, where a bank reject the payment for a check that has been presented. It is known as the check being dishonored. How a check can be dishonored? In which situation a check can be dishonored? Okay, when there is insufficient funds in the account, a check can be dishonored. And also where the drawer stops the payment, and where the drawer becomes bankrupt, where the drawer dies and this is intimated to the bank, and where a garnishee order has been received, a court order has been received not to pay this particular check, and because of an error in writing the check, the technical errors of writing, and where the account is closed, and also where the check is seriously damaged, in that circumstances, the bank will not pay for the check, right? And finally, I will discuss you about the electronic money, right? The electronic money so that can be identified as the electronically exchange of cash or the cash exchange through a computer network is known as e-money. As a result, a fund transfer takes place from one party to another party, right? So it is called as electronic fund transfer. So you can see the different electronic money or types of electronic money: credit cards, debit cards, prepaid cards, smart cards, microchips. So such kind of electronic money. So there are different parties who are involved with the settlement of electronic transactions. So those are card holder, the card issuing organization, the trader or seller, credit association. For example, Visa, Master, American Express, such kind of associations. All those four parties should be involved in order to fulfill an electronic transaction, right? So here you must understand kind of a comprehensive understanding regarding this electronic money, especially regarding the credit card. Then you should be able to discuss the advantages and disadvantages to the businesses, and also advantages and disadvantages to the customers by using credit cards, right? And also you should be able to identify the different elements or the different parts of a credit card as we discuss in terms of a check, right? So the logo and the logo of the bank which issued the card, and also the service provider's logo, and the card number, expire date, and card holder's name. And also here you can see another magnetic tape. So these should be identifiable by yourself, and that understanding should be there, right? And also you should be able to elaborate, you should be able to explain the different advantages and disadvantages in making transactions with the electronic cards, right? Here I have mentioned different advantages and disadvantages. Most of the time this knowledge is checked in your examination, right? How using electronic card can be as advantageous for an business. In essay type questions, this kind of knowledge is checked, right? So I'm not going to discuss these things in detail. So I gave a kind of a snapshot regarding 3 lessons today. I know that that is not in detail, that is very brief, but I think that at least for a kind of a revision, this particular session will be important for you. So now I'm going to wind up the session. So these were the 3 lessons that we discussed today: basis of business and business environment, and interaction between government and business, and finally money, banking and monetary system. So I think that you got something from today's session, today's webinar. Hope that you will engage with past paper questions and model paper questions, because that gives you the practice, right? Only studying and reading notes and learning by heart the different things, so that is not enough. You should always practice with the past paper questions and model paper questions. That will prepare you for the exam, to face the examination. And also we engage with this kind of reading materials and try to participate with this kind of webinars and seminars to you should have empower with your knowledge to successfully face the examination. You know that A-level examination is very competitive. It is very competitive ever before. Therefore, you should not miss anything, any subject area, any concept, because 1 point of mark also very important. It will influence for your search score. Therefore, don't miss anything. Try to engage with each and every area, each and every concept of your subject. I wish you all the best for your A-level examination. Hope to see you in University of Sri Jayawardhanapura, University of Colombo, any state university in Sri Lanka. So happy to meet you and happy to conduct your session. Wish you all the best. Have a good day. Good night. Thank you.
So that was a very informative session, sir. I'm sure the students will find it very useful and get their doubts clarified through the session. The session was recorded and will be uploaded to our Rotaract Club's YouTube page as well. Thank you very much, sir. Hope you all will join tomorrow for the Sinhala medium sessions. And thank you very much, sir.